I've been putting up with you, making me feel terrible all this time. So the least you can do is contribute to the wedding cost. It's your daughter's big day, after all. But why aren't you inviting me to the wedding? Well, it would be embarrassing. I would have wanted Dad to be there, but I don't want people to know I have a countryside grandma, like you, as my mother. You're living off Dad's estate and pension, yet you have the audacity to show up at ceremonies and act all important? It's just shameless. My name is Stacy. I lost my husband Bennett a few years ago, and now I live alone. The house that Bennett, who was a CEO, left me feels too big for just myself. However, I manage by enjoying my gardening hobby. I have 2 children, my son Ralph and my daughter Ellie. Both are independent and do not live with me. Ralph got married last year and lives in the neighboring state, while Ellie is single and seems to be focused on her work, although she plans to get married to her boyfriend soon. To others, it might seem like I'm enjoying a comfortable retirement, with my children being independent. I do feel blessed, but I also have my worries, especially about my daughter Ellie. Since she was a child, Ellie has always been a strong-willed, competitive, and active girl, unlike me, who is more laid back. She didn't get along with me and was closer to Bennett, who was more active in society. When Bennett fell ill, Allie's attitude towards me got worse, and when he passed away, she blamed me, saying, "This happened because Mom wasn't strong enough." I was already emotionally drained from losing Bennett, and Ellie's words were just too much for me. However, with Ralph's support, I was able to recover. Ralph comforted me, saying, "It's not your fault, Mom. You did your best. It's just that you and Ellie have different personalities, so don't worry about it." However, Ellie's attitude towards me didn't change, and she stopped coming home, even for Christmas. Now, we rarely see each other. I found out that Ellie is considering marrying her boyfriend, not from her, but from someone else. Ellie lives in a condominium nearby, but she rarely visits or contacts me. Even if I contacted her, the probability of a reply was low. I thought maybe the company was busy, so I refrained from insisting on contacting them. But one day, I was surprised to hear about Ellie's recent situation in a call from Ralph. "By the way, Mom, have you heard about Ellie?" "What's that?" "Oh, dear. She hasn't told Mom anything again. Ellie, you see, is getting married to her college boyfriend." "What? I haven't heard anything about that. I haven't even met the boyfriend." "The 2 of them often travel together and bring us souvenirs from various places. I always told her to properly talk to you, but you haven't even met him." "She doesn't come here at all. I thought she was too busy with work to come." "Really? She said she's not busy at all since she moved apartments. She's been able to go to various places with her boyfriend because of that." Ralph was certainly surprised, but I was even more so. There was so much I didn't know about Ellie, and it was hard to have a conversation with Ralph. "By the way, what's Ellie's boyfriend like?" "Well, his name is Glenn. To be honest, I don't really like him. I think he's a good match for Ellie's personality, but..." "Ralph is gentle and similar to me in personality. If he doesn't like Glenn, then I probably won't either." Adding to that, the information that Glenn is a good match for Ellie's personality gave me a rough idea of what kind of person he is. I'm worried about various things. "I understand how you feel, but Ellie is an adult. She'll be fine. They'll probably get along well as a married couple, and won't bother Mom too much." "Is that so? That's a bit sad, but it can't be helped." The conversation ended there, but the problem was what happened afterward. A few weeks after the call with Ralph, I finally received a contact from Ellie. Hearing from Ellie after a long time was undoubtedly a happy occasion, even if she hated me, and I was noticeably cheerful when I answered the phone. "It's been a while. Why did you suddenly contact me? Did something happen?" My cheerful voice was the complete opposite of Ellie's, which was stiff and cold. "I got married last week." "What?" I was stunned by Ellie's unexpected statement. And I have a favor to ask. When I told my husband about our house, he said he wanted to live together. We're going to decide on a new house eventually, but can we temporarily live in your house? You have plenty of rooms to spare, right? Well, there are rooms, but being asked so suddenly... I've already arranged for the movers. I've also terminated my apartment lease. It's not a big deal if 2 more people move into that big house, right? I felt angry at Ellie for selfishly moving things forward, despite having neglected her family home until now. If you've already canceled the room, there was nothing I could do but accept it. Fine, but you must find a new place immediately. Who do you think you are? That house was built by Dad, and you're living off the money and pension he left behind. Really, Ellie? That's all I wanted to talk about. Goodbye. With that, Ellie hung up the phone. I was at a loss as to what to do. But there was nothing to be done. The thought of someone else in the space I had been alone in for so long might be surprisingly pleasant, and I hoped that living with Ellie again would help mend our relationship. On the day, I prepared lunch for 2, waiting anxiously for Ellie to arrive. When the doorbell rang, I welcomed her in. Hi, long time no see. It's been a while. Ellie's appearance had changed dramatically. Her hair was dyed blue and white, and she wore flashy clothes unlike before. What happened to your hair? Didn't your company say anything? Huh? Company? I quit. What? And since I'm back, I won't have any trouble living. Stop nagging me about my looks, just because you dress like an old lady. Just as I was starting to feel uneasy about our future, a man entered. Hi, I'm Glenn. I married Ellie. Nice to meet you. Hi. I'm Stacy. Nice to meet you too. This is a big house. The yard is huge. We could have a barbecue. Right, Ellie? Yeah, let's invite everyone over next week. Ellie's attitude towards me changed completely, and she chatted happily with Glenn. They stomped upstairs, calling in the movers, and pushed past me on the stairs. Hey, Mom, we can choose any room, right? One for me and Glenn each. Yes. I made lunch. Do you want any? No thanks. We'll eat out later. Saying that, the 2 began unpacking noisily. From the 2nd floor, there was never-ending noise and laughter, and one cardboard box after another was carried in by the movers. The cardboard boxes that didn't fit in the room were left on the 1st floor. It seemed that the 2 had finished unpacking as they came downstairs. It looked like they were going out to eat. What are you going to do with these cardboard boxes? Oh, just leave them there. We'll be back. It felt like the storm had passed, but I couldn't help sighing at the sight of the large cardboard boxes left in the corridor. Life afterwards was stifling. They acted as if I didn't exist, and gradually the house began to fall into disarray. They didn't cook, clean, or do laundry, and all those burdens fell on me. Glenn had a job, but he seemed to be changing jobs frequently, and I doubted he was earning a decent salary. Ellie, who had quit her job, showed no sign of looking for work and mostly spent her time lying on the sofa, fiddling with her mobile phone. Hey, Ellie, are you looking for a job? Shut up! Glenn's working, isn't he? But still, I've been a housewife for years, so don't act like you're any better. I'll work when I find a job that suits me. She would change the topic and snap at me, and in the end, we would never have a real conversation. I was already getting sick of this stifling situation, but before I knew it, a week had passed since Ellie and Glenn moved in. One Saturday morning, I saw Ellie and Glenn busy preparing something, so I asked them what was happening. Huh? Didn't we tell you we're having a barbecue to celebrate our move? Our friends are coming over later, so be nice. What? Didn't you hear Stacy? Mom, you're so slow and forgetful. Oh, and stay in your room. It'd be embarrassing if our friends saw you. They laughed at me, and without asking for permission, started setting up the grill and chairs in the garden. Later, their friends arrived, and they all had a barbecue, making a racket from the afternoon. I watched from my room on the 2nd floor as my carefully tended garden and flowers were trampled and destroyed, and felt a mix of anger and sadness well up inside me. In the evening, the barbecue seemed to be over, but Ellie and her friends were getting ready to go out. Ellie, where do you think you're going, leaving everything like this? Hey, Mom, we told you to stay in your room. Even Glenn's friends, who were headed to the car, stopped at the sound of my voice. Glenn, apparently drunk, pointed at me and started laughing. Oh, it's Parasite, Stacy. Huh? Parasite? That's what Ellie's been calling her. She's been living at our house like a parasite for years. That's why Ellie said she won't invite her to the wedding. She's been saying that since they were dating. She'll take her money but won't invite her. Glenn laughed loudly as he said this, and his friends dragged him to the car. Ellie laughed mockingly as I stood there, stunned. Well, that's what I think. She's made me feel bad for years, so the least she can do is pay for the wedding. It's her daughter's big day, right? But not inviting her to the wedding? What's that about? I'd be embarrassed. If Dad were alive, I'd want him there. But I don't want people to find out my mother is like some country grandma. She's living off Dad's estate and pension like a parasite, and then she shows up at weddings and funerals, acting all important. It's just too much. Ellie laughed again as she walked past me. Oh, and can you clean up the garden? I'm going out for drinks. With that, she got in the car with her friends and drove off. I sighed as I looked at the messy garden, realizing that the innocent Ellie who used to play there was gone. Maybe she changed for the worse because of Glenn and his friends. But her feelings towards me haven't changed. She genuinely feels that way about me. That I'm a leech living off Bennett's estate, that I'm not independent or interesting. But I have a secret that I haven't told my children. About 10 years ago, I started investing in stocks with Bennett's guidance, and now I receive $20,000 in dividends annually. So I actually have enough money to move out and live on my own. In fact, I've been considering selling this house because it's become too difficult to manage as I've aged. But it's also the house where I shared so many memories with Bennett, and I don't want my children to lose their childhood home. But now that things have come to this, I need to do something. I was resting after cleaning up when I got a call from Ralph. Mom, I heard. Did Ellie and Glenn come to the house? I can't say I'm okay. They've been here for a week, and I'm already exhausted. I knew it. Mom, those two are planning to take over the house. They might even try to take the estate. I've met Glenn, and he's the type to spend money recklessly. Ellie said she's almost out of savings. What? She used up her savings? Yeah, she was calm about it, but I was shocked. She said they were planning to have a destination wedding. Do you think she's serious? They're probably expecting me to pay for it. Ellie and Glenn's true colors were starting to show. At the same time, a thought crossed my mind. By the way, Ralph, may I come visit soon? There's something I'd like to discuss with you. After hearing everything, I feel like we can't let things continue this way. Yes. We need to talk about it. And if Mom comes, Judy will be happy too. We'll be waiting. A few days later, I headed to Ralph's house. Glenn had gone to work, but Ellie was still sleeping late, as usual. I told her I was leaving through the bedroom door, but there was no response. Ralph's wife, Judy, warmly welcomed me, a visitor from the next state over. She seemed to have heard the situation from Ralph. Stacy, I've heard from Ralph. I know there's a lot we need to talk about, but please, make yourself at home while you're here. Thank you, Judy. After being welcomed by the two of them, I first revealed the secret of my assets. They were both surprised to learn that I, whom they thought was a housewife, actually owned stock and received approximately $20,000 in dividends annually. But they were even more surprised when they heard about my next proposition. I'm worried that if Ellie and the others find out I have stock, it will lead to trouble. Given the current situation, I think it's just a matter of time. So, I'd like to transfer my stock to you two at this time. What? Are you sure? Us? Isn't there another way? No, I want to give it to you. After a moment of silence, during which they seemed to be overwhelmed by my momentum, they looked at each other and reluctantly nodded. Then, after consulting in low voices, Ralph spoke up. So, as a way of saying thank you, how about Mom lives with us in this house? What? We were just talking about it, Ralph and I. That house is too big for Stacy to live in alone, and we're worried about you. It seems like the right time. What do you think? I gladly accepted their proposal. Afterwards, I made the bold decision to sell the house I had been living in. The process of transferring the stock to Ralph and his wife, as well as the sale of the house, were completed without a hitch. As I quietly packed up the house, Ellie, who seemed to find my actions suspicious, approached me. Mom, it looks like things are disappearing from the house. Is something going on? Oh, I was going to tell you. I've decided to sell the house. You two will need to leave soon. What? What do you mean? I'm moving to Ralph's house tomorrow, so please leave as soon as possible. If you stay, I'll call the police. What are you talking about? I can't deal with this all of a sudden. But you don't even listen to me, and you never call back when I reach out. Hearing Ellie's voice, Glenn also came downstairs to find out what was happening, and sure enough, he was furious. Hey, Ellie, what's this all about? Weren't we supposed to be able to live here forever? I don't know. I'm just as surprised as you are. I won't interfere with you and your husband anymore, so don't worry. I hope your wedding will be a wonderful one. Wait a minute, Mom, you're going to help pay for the wedding, right? It's your daughter's big day. No, I'm a parasite, remember? I don't have any money to give you. And I've decided to have Ralph and Judy manage all my assets, including my stocks. Ellie and Glenn's faces twisted more and more. I glanced at the two of them as I was getting ready to leave from the entrance. Stocks? Mom, when did you do that? You've been calling me a parasite and pension-living grandma, but even I have my strength. I had a $20,000 dividend from stock investments every year. I was actually considering giving some to you. Well, take care. As I closed the entrance door, I could hear them arguing from inside the house. I was worried, but at the same time, I felt a strong sense of relief and joy, thinking, I finally told them off. I clenched my fist and headed to Ralph's house. After that, Ellie and Glenn managed to find a place to live, but their relationship quickly became strained. They visited me once, completely different from before, trying to butter me up and win me over. What's more, Glenn, perhaps because he knew I had some stocks left, bragged about recently starting stock trading and tried to get me to give him some. I remember finding it amusing how transparent his intentions were. Since then, the two have been living separately. Ellie seems to be having a hard time finding a new job. But she has no savings, and she has to make a living, so she's been working part-time jobs day and night while looking for employment. It's easy to imagine how mentally cornered she must feel, given that she used to look down on people who couldn't earn their own living. But I had no intention of helping her. She and Glenn, who have always looked down on their parents and called them parasites, are now getting their just desserts. I hope they manage to support each other and prevent their already difficult lives from falling apart completely. As for me, I am now living a peaceful and contented life with my eldest son and his wife. I share hobbies with Judy, and when I think about the suffocating days I used to have, I'm so glad I decided to live with them. Recently, my grandchildren were born. They are adorable little girls, like angels. Supporting busy Judy is hard, but I feel very fulfilled every day. Since they are gentle children, I don't have to worry about them growing up to call their parents parasites like someone else we know. From now on, I want to continue to live a peaceful and happy life, savoring the true happiness that is characteristic of me, with Ralph and Judy and the grandchildren.